Vous pensez qu'Insidious 4 sortirait bien avant octobre 2017? Ça tombe bien, nous aussi. X-Men Apocalypse est enfin dans les salles. Fanzone est allé à la rencontre d'une partie de l'équipe du film, dont le réalisateur Bryan Singer, qui nous a révélé que la Fox lui avait laissé la main mise sur le film. Singer a donc bénéficié d'une liberté créative totale. Écoutez ça.
We messed with the trilogy a bit in X-Men Days of Future Past, which did two things. One, it created any possibility for a future for the universe, but also we discussed time's immutability, meaning how time can be fragmented and scattered and then can kind of find its way back and collect itself. And so the movie is sort of, I have the freedom to do or take the universe in whatever direction I want, but at the same time, I also want to set up young and classic characters and point them sort of in a direction that they'll ultimately, potentially, arrive at in X-Men 1. So, as I said before with Days of Future Past, it's not a prequel or a sequel, it's an in-betweequel.
Et au cœur de la saga mutante, on retrouve bien évidemment Apocalypse, incarné à l'écran par Oscar Isaac, qui se souvient parfaitement de son audition.
I collected X-Factor and X-Men when I was a kid in the late 80s, so I was very familiar with Apocalypse. He made a big impression on me when I was a little kid because my parents had traumatized me with the Book of Revelation and the end of the world. So when I saw that there was a comic book character that embodied that, I was very fascinated by that. And yeah, so years later, when they were making a movie, and I heard that Apocalypse was going to be the villain, I was very curious to see what they were going to be doing with it, and I was able to meet with Bryan Singer and Simon Kinberg, the writer, and we talked about it, and I kind of told them what I was interested in about the character and what they were interested in, and so I took that leap of faith and made this crazy character.
Fou, oui, mais pas que. Oscar Isaac a été beaucoup plus loin et a même pu proposer des choses pour interpréter ce super vilain à la fois ultime et invincible.
It was very much about figuring out how he operates and getting the philosophy very clear. Because I just wanted that he has a very direct and strong philosophy, which is he wants to reveal the strength of the mutants and the reality of things, and to reveal the weakness as well. And so we went forming it in that way. He wakes up to find that there's weak rulers, that you've got the United States and Russia with their nuclear weapons, and they're hiding behind all these war machines and these systems of money, and that's not true strength. So that was something that I could really understand and get behind, and also wanting people to follow him. Out of all his powers, his biggest power is the power of persuasion, and be able to persuade people. And what was also fun was as he learns language. Language is a big thing. So when he wakes up in the 80s, the language isn't this ancient Egyptian dialect anymore. So he slowly learns the English language through his genius intellect and his technokinesis that he has. And his language starts to evolve as the movie goes on. And by the end, it is quite Shakespearean. And I even changed some of the wording so that it was in the same kind of rhythm in the iambic pentameter, just because it gives a almost unconscious sense of heightened language. It's not naturalism.
Et puisqu'on parle de méchants, impossible de ne pas penser à Magneto alias Michael Fassbender. Michael Fassbender qui faisait partie de la nouvelle génération au moment de X-Men le commencement. Changement de cap donc pour Fassi qui compte aujourd'hui parmi les anciens.
It was nice to welcome in a fresh generation of actors to take over the mantle, for sure. It was because we were always, when we arrived in an X-Men First Class, we felt very welcome and very much supported. So it was nice to have the opportunity to do that for these guys.
Et parmi les petits jeunes, justement, il y a Evan Peters et Sophie Turner qui nous racontent ici comment ils se sont préparés pour leur rôle. Vous allez voir, c'est une autre école que celle d'Oscar Isaac.
I started watching the movies when they came out. No, actually, I started watching them a few years ago and I got really hooked. And then I read a few of the comics and then I Wikipedia'd it as soon as I got the role.
Yeah, Wikipedia'd Quicksilver. I had to. I watched the originals and loved them. And then the First Class I loved, and then Days of Future Past, and I I didn't really know much about Quicksilver, so I had to look him up and read all the comics and try to figure out what was going on with him. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of the movies. Love the movies. I love the original too. I think they're awesome, especially the first one. The first one's perfect in my opinion. So, yeah.
Wasn't there a cartoon? Is there a cartoon?
Oh yeah, there's a cartoon.
Did you watch the
I watched that growing up. Yellow Wolverine. That was awesome.
No, I never watched that.
Storm was great. Jean Grey was great. Who was the other one? Rogue. Rogue was awesome in the cartoon.
In the cartoons?
Oh my god, yeah. She could do everything. She was hot.
Well, I definitely like rewatched the movies. I emailed her, Famke, who played Jean in the first three.
Wow.
Yeah, and she was really cool. And I emailed her to kind of be like, hey, are we good? Like, do you have any tips? And she just kind of like passed the baton on to me. She was really sweet. So yeah, and then, you know, just Google everything. Google.
Olivia Munn, alias Psylocke, n'a pas eu besoin de ça. Vous allez voir, la comédienne savait exactement ce qu'elle voulait pour interpréter la cavalière de l'Apocalypse.
When it came to the character of Psylocke, I told them that it was really important to me that she has a fight scene because she is being introduced to the world, and there's no better way to introduce Psylocke than with her fighting abilities because she is so strong and so lethal. And when they're making the costume, it was really important to me that she have the costume that's right out of the comic books because it is so iconic. And thankfully, everybody there was on board and made sure that it was identical to the comic books.
James McAvoy, de son côté, n'avait qu'une obsession pour le professeur X, retrouver la paix, un véritable défi pour l'acteur écossais.
Just to make him, like you said, calm and centered and at ease with who he is at the beginning of the movie, and that was kind of hard because I've never played him that at ease before, or that content before. And I've always liked the fact that there's been a little bit of malcontent or there's been an edge to him in some way. So that was quite hard. But then by the end of the movie, he gets his edge back, and that was easier because he becomes somebody who's willing to fight, which he isn't at the beginning.
Alors après en avoir discuté avec une partie du casting, on se pose la question, ce nouveau film de la saga mutante ne serait-il pas le plus intense de la franchise?
Well, it certainly is the climax of 6 movies, and yet it is the birth of the X-Men. They haven't, you know, in X-Men 1 we discover them already established in their places. Here we see how they come to be. And I think that's really important, and from there they can go anywhere. They could probably, you know, journey through distance, even through time, which I've established in the previous film. So, you know, there's no reason they can't collide with other Marvel franchises or stand alone.
Tout est possible dans l'univers Marvel, on peut donc s'attendre à toujours plus de crossover entre les X-Men et d'autres franchises comme Deadpool ou la X-Force par exemple. Et d'ici là, vous avez rendez-vous avec l'Apocalypse. Aussi nonchalante qu'Isabelle Amoner qui confirme sa présence dans Transformers 5, voici les news en bref. Le titre de Transformers 5 est tombé avec en prime une petite vidéo que voici. The Last Knight, le dernier chevalier en français, pourrait faire écho aux chevaliers de Cybertron qui ont été présentés dans Transformers, l'âge de l'extinction. Quoi qu'il en soit, ce 5e opus de la saga se tourne dès le 6 juin prochain pour une sortie calée au 21 juin 2017. D'ici là, on en saura sûrement plus sur ce dernier chevalier qui n'aura probablement rien à voir avec celui-là.
Et voici le challenger, le loyal Cédric, doublure de cire, cœur de steak, qui est prêt à vaincre ou mourir pour son maître, ou alors pour la princesse Esmeralda. C'est de l'amour, non?
Est-ce que The Rock n'a pas vendu un peu trop tôt la mèche? Via son compte Instagram, l'acteur vient en effet de confirmer sa présence dans un film de Shane Black prévu pour 2017. Depuis, les spéculations vont bon train car Shane Black a 2 projets en cours. Predator bien sûr, suivi de Doc Savage. Le premier est attendu pour 2018 mais se tournera dès la fin de l'année, laissant du temps à Black pour filmer Doc Savage en 2017. Et puisqu'on parle de héros rétro, je vous invite à découvrir les Nice Guys de Shane Black actuellement dans les salles. Aujourd'hui dans le courrier des Fanzoniens répond à Croft qui voudrait des nouvelles de la Tour Sombre et il n'est pas le seul. Le Daily Mail vient de nous dévoiler les premières photos de tournage avec Idris Elba en cow-boy devant un magnifique fond vert où il incarne Roland Deschamps. Pas de Matthew McConaughey à l'horizon, mais comme vous pouvez le voir, le tournage se poursuit à Cape Town en Afrique du Sud pour une sortie le 22 février prochain chez nous. Si Warcraft rencontrait World of Warcraft, un youtubeur s'est amusé à mixer la bande-annonce du film avec le moteur du MMO et ça rend plutôt pas mal. On se quitte là-dessus, je vous donne rendez-vous vendredi pour une nouvelle émission et je vous souhaite à tous une excellente soirée.